This episode is brought to you by Naked Fig Soap. Shop over a dozen handcrafted artisan soaps locally sourced and made in Arizona using the finest non-toxic intentional ingredients. Naked Fig Soap also offers facial care products along with accessories like soap dishes, soap saver bags, and more.
Visit their website at nakedfigsoap.com and use code DRUMMINGUP, all one word, for 20% off online orders. And that is the best place to find her now.
Yes.
She doesn't really have a storefront so much as she has
As of right now.
Yeah, as of right now,
Yes.
she has her products in certain locations,
Yes.
which again is the best place to find her is at her nakedfigsoap.com website.
Yes.
Or her socials. Instagram is a great spot to find her. Ask her any questions where she's going to be at like a farmer's market.
Yes.
You can find all that out. Or
But coming up, she's moving to bigger and better opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. And we're very happy to hear that because,
Yes.
you know, we just want to
She's
make
one
sure
of our
she's doing okay.
favorite companies.
Oh, yeah. Whenever we're getting low, we always place our order.
Yes.
You know, and again, use that code drumming up,
Yes.
all one word, to get that 20% off discount.
For sure.
nakedfigsoap.com. It'll be in the show notes. We'll have her website. And then the best thing to do is from the website, go find her socials, follow her. That helps her. And by you doing that, it helps us because we know you're listening. We know you're buying her great products. She also offers tattoo care and everything too.
Yes,
so
she does.
Just a ton of stuff that she does. It's all locally made and everything. So what was that website again?
That is nakedfigsoap.com.
Using code drumming
Drumming
up,
Up.
all one word, for 20% off at checkout.
Hi there, this is Julian of Gorad, and you are listening to Drumming Up Conversation. Hell yeah.
Drumming up conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up conversation. Drumming up, drumming up, drumming up conversation. Drumming up, drumming up, drumming up conversation. Drumming up, drumming up, drumming up conversation. Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Drumming Up Conversation. I'm Justin Wood.
I'm Andrea Wood.
Intro and outro music is provided by Temporal Displacement, my band. Find us anywhere you listen to your music. Coming up soon, there might be a little glitch in it because we switched providers, going to a different one. And so there might be two, just like our podcast did for a little bit, but but that's just, don't worry about it. It'll be for like a couple days if that happens, but definitely check us out anywhere you listen to your music. Hopefully there won't be any glitch in it, but I'm just giving you guys a forewarning in case there is. That might happen. But it's all for the best because it's going to be a lot easier and quicker, and everything's going to look a lot nicer with the new
Very cool.
setup.
If you have any questions, email us at drummingupconversation@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Drumming Up Conversation and on X at Drum Conversing. The audio podcast is available everywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts, so don't forget to follow us, subscribe, give us a rating, and tell a friend.
Yep. So as you've noticed, we have a little bit of a different background right now. We are in Flagstaff.
Yep.
It is Andrea's birthday. Happy birthday. So we're getting ready to have Owen Harn on. Owen Harn on. It's early. And he is from Cobra Kai. He was in Vice Principals. He played Jackie in Vice Principals and Gabriel in Cobra Kai. He's the Jello guy.
Yep.
So he should be coming on any time now, and then we'll get him going, and then we'll have a great conversation.
Yeah.
So, but we just want to let you know that we are in Flagstaff, just kind of having a little vacation. We're going to Jackal tomorrow night,
Meet and greet.
and
Super
everything.
excited.
So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. So yeah, we're definitely excited for that. So
Found a lot of great local wines yesterday when we went to do a little shopping.
yeah,
Went to our favorite pizza place, Fratelli's.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys.
if there's a little bit of an echo, it's just because it's all tile here
Yep.
where we're at. And you might hear Grenache kind of shuffling
Our
around
nails are
out there.
clipping on the.
Yeah, she's a
tile.
little louder on this tile.
Mhm.
In our studio, we have carpet So she's a lot quieter in there, except for the squeaky toys, which she's going to get her toy right now because I
Yeah.
think she just knows that when we're doing this, it's squeaky toy time.
Kid came up with us, but she's out and about exploring downtown
Yeah, she's
Flagstaff right now.
getting out for a little bit, having some fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just thought we'd talk to you for a little bit before Owen comes on. So and, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So this is our second Cobra Kai regular, not regular, but recurring
Yeah.
role. And there's a lot of fun stuff. We want to ask him a little questions that we've
Sure.
heard, that stuff he's talked about on other podcasts that he didn't go into detail with, and we're hoping to get that. And that's because I think that they couldn't talk about it at the time. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and get into that episode. All right, so today we are joined by Owen Harn. He's an actor. He's been in Cobra Kai, Vice Principals, many other things, but those are what Gotham. And how you doing? How's everything going today?
Great. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Yeah, we're on vacation right now in Flagstaff. So
Flagstaff.
yeah.
All right.
So for a little echoey, that's why we're not in our usual studio. But so where were you born and where are you located now?
I was born in Silver Spring, Maryland. So I was, basically Washington, D.C. My house was like 20 minutes from the White House. So I lived there till I was 12, and then I moved to Largo, Florida. Yeah, when I was 12, and then now I'm in Palm Harbor, Florida, which is just outside of Tampa. So just Tampa, Florida, pretty much.
Okay.
So I'm like 5 minutes away, and I'm in Tampa.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
So we know you wanted to do comedy when you were young, but you were shy. We saw your episode with Peter Vonasek, and you said you were shy in your first grade talent show. Do you still like to do comedy?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do comedy. That's why, Vice Principals, they really gave me a start to really show that off, and they let me improv a lot on there. And that was probably the only show I ever did where they kept everything I said, or
That's
every
awesome.
bit of improv that I did, because I remember what I say, and I'm like, oh, did this line stick? Did that line hit? Because most of the stuff I do, they'll cut a lot out.
Mhm.
Yeah, that happened when I was, working with Matthew McConaughey on True Detective. I had all these cool lines, and I had like 15 lines, and it got cut down to 4, and I was like
Wow.
extremely disappointed. I was in my 4th year at the time.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, comedy has always been number one. I never thought I would be a muscle guy. It's just, but when I started acting, I got into it late, my 27, because I quit early on, and just no direction. But my agent was telling me, if you really want to work, you need to put on some muscle. So I went to a hypnosis and got addicted to the gym back in 2010, and yeah, I've just been at it ever since.
Nice. Was that fun doing that role on Vice Principals as Jackie?
Oh yeah, that was my favorite role because
Yeah.
Danny McBride's my idol. It's
Okay.
one of the reasons why I went back into acting was because of Eastbound and Down.
Uh-huh.
Because I was a carpenter, and I had these old people that were scared of me and didn't want me in their house because they thought I looked too much like a thug. And I just remember thinking at the time, I was like, F this, man. I said, I just want to be an actor. I want to be working with guys like Danny McBride and Jody Hill. And then 6 years later, boom, there I am working with these guys. I'm like, oh, it's like, careful what you say, put out in the universe. It can happen, good or bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, we watched it from like when it first came out and everything. We
Yeah.
just rewatched it again with your episode, and we're just forgot how funny that was when he's stepping over the line. And
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's funny because it's made such a resurgence lately, because I've had all these people, texting me and messaging me saying, oh, I just watched this new show, Vice Principals, you're on. I didn't know you were on. And I filmed that almost 10 years ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it aired 9 years ago, but it was gut wrenching just waiting for it to come out. Because I knew I was going to get signed by a bigger agency when it came out, and I did.
Nice.
I knew it
That's
would be a
awesome.
big deal.
And you got to put a little bit of your voices in there too, like
Oh, we
Oh,
were
yeah.
dying laughing with the
Yeah, I
grocery
was-
store scene with the wife and the mother-in-law. Oh my
Yeah.
God, we were laughing so much.
I've done voices my whole life, just to everybody, and
I'll do girl voices and stuff like that.
You know, I used to call into school and get friends out of class or whatever, act like their mom or act like the principal, and I would call and their parents and leave a good report, you know, for their kid.
Nice. That's awesome.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Did you get in trouble a lot in school with your voices?
Yeah, my freshman year, I think I got 73 referrals.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I got assigned every single Saturday school for the entire year.
Jeez.
And I never went to one of them, so I got suspended even more. And basically, ninth grade was a failure. So I was a super senior. At least, you know, at least I finished. You know, it's
Yeah.
just I didn't take it seriously because I was always like, man, I'm just gonna drop out and be an actor anyway. That was my dream since I was 6. You know, so but yeah, I mean, yeah, it was tough moving to a new area because you know, moving from DC area where it's, you know, extremely diverse,
Mhm.
coming into Florida where it was like a little bit, you know, segregated. It was a complete culture shock for me. So I was like trying to figure out how to adapt. And yeah, it took me about 11 years to get
Wow.
used to here. You know, I've lived in LA and I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in Miami, which I don't consider Miami just Florida. Miami is a whole different world.
I
Yeah.
bet. Yeah. Yeah. So, were you a fan of Karate Kid and Cobra Kai before you got the role of Gabriel?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was
Okay, nice.
a huge fan of Karate Kid. I always rooted for Johnny though when I watched the movies. I always tend to root for the bad guys. And yeah, Cobra Kai, I was a huge fan of it. I just remember my wife was saying, you know, that's you know, how cool would it be if you know you booked this and all your scenes were with Kreese? And I was like, nah. I said I've never even auditioned for this show. And then I got the audition one day, and you know, I put it on tape in my hotel room because at the time I was filming a few episodes of Florida Man, and yeah, I had to be my own reader for it and everything because I had nobody there, and it's COVID times, and nobody wants to be around you. Actors won't hang out with you from the show on, you know, Florida Man. So I was like, okay, I got to do this by myself and be my own reader, and yeah, and I'm pretty tech savvy, so I don't look
Nice.
like it, but
I never judge books by the cover. So, did you ever tell anyone that you did the reading for it as well for the audition?
no, no.
That's awesome.
How did you find out about the audition?
My agent submitted me for it, and so what they do is they say Owen would be great for this role, um, and then casting. You know, I said absolutely. You know, and I just put it on, and then 3 days later, I got the call saying I booked it. So, and I didn't know it was going to be 3 episodes. I don't think anybody knew it was going to be because I kept, you know, I kept asking the writers. I said, "Oh, what happens in the next episode?" And they said, "Oh, well, we haven't gotten that far yet." So I was
Wow.
like,
Wow.
back in my chair, I was like, "Ding!" It'd be pretty cool if I came back in another episode. You know, I'm available. And you know, the Kreese kind of makes me his bitch in the next episode. That's a great idea. And then I came back for another episode, and I was like, you know, I think it'd be cool if you know, Kreese has got to get out of prison sometime. Maybe I help him, you know, stage a fake prison break, you know. But and then basically, you know, that's what happened. I didn't know, you know, it was going to be, you know, stabbing and jello and all that stuff. Originally, when I auditioned, it was chocolate pudding.
That was on the, yeah, I was curious if they started with something different because usually they start with something else like, no, that's not going to work for what we're going to do later and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which the cherry jello or whatever it was made more sense with what happened in
Oh, yeah.
episode 10.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah, so that's really, really cool. So how was it fighting? I mean, you didn't really fight Kreese as much. You did Barrett in that scene, but just
Yeah.
watching them both in that scene, what was there a lot of similarities, differences? Did you notice Barrett kind of doing more of a cove kind of?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Barrett. You know, Barrett's obviously. You know, I think he was like 28 at the time or something. You know, and he's trained in stage combat. You know, since he was a kid, which I didn't know until
I
I
didn't
you know,
either.
met and talked with him. So he had like prepared for this most of his life. So he was a perfect fit for that. And you know, Greasy's 75, and you know, or yeah, Martin, and you know, I saw some stitches on his back. He's like, yeah, he's like, Owen, don't hurt yourself doing stunts. He goes, I made the mistakes of flailing my body all over the place, and that's why I had the stitches and the, you know, on the back of the neck, and I mean, I've broken a lot of bones. I've broken my vertebrae. I was in a wheelchair for 5 months,
Wow.
2 months after graduating. I got voted most likely to succeed and had all that pressure on me to be an actor, and then I break my vertebrae 2 months after,
Oh my
and
goodness.
couldn't walk. But I've overcome a lot of adversity in my life for sure.
Oh, for
And
sure.
but yeah, no, it's Cobra Kai, that was great. It was very surreal, sitting with Martin Cove and Ralph Macchio and William Zabka,
Hmm.
just having a conversation. And I was just like, man, I said, I gotta ask, man, what was it like? What is it like, not seeing each other for 30 something years, and then rejoining? It was like, it was, it was really new. It was it's cool, and it's just, man, I can't really explain it, And I was like, well, that's what I could imagine, because I haven't done that, or really worked with anybody that I've worked prior. It's rare that I work with somebody twice,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
What were you talking about in the background in that scene when they were in the prison talking to Kreese? I know you
um,
mentioned a little bit on Peter Von
oh
Essex,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
The girl that was coming to visit with me was playing my wife, and I was just I don't know, making her laugh. I was like in the back eating corn nuts or something. I think I off yeah. I said, "Would you like some corn nuts?" I can't even remember if that
Yeah.
I
line.
think it was. Yeah, there's some in the vending machine or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just got
Yeah,
corn
'cause I
nuts.
was like, at first I was like, why don't we do like Reese's peanut butter Reese's Reese's, because that's what he was eating on set, was he's
Kreese's
gobbling
peanut butter cups.
yeah, and Reese's Pieces. And I'm like, this is so funny. Reese's Pieces. You think that's funny? It's like, yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Was he
Yeah.
intimidating at all?
At first, yeah, because
Yeah.
I didn't know what he was
Mhm.
going to be like. I honestly expected him to be, an a-hole. I don't know, you just
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But he was the sweetest guy. He loves this area where I'm at, because we were talking, and he goes, you know what the best kept secret is Dunedin, Florida. I was like, well, I just bought a house in Palm Harbor, and Dunedin is right next to it. So he comes here all the time. He knows the
Nice.
people I know here. He might have bought a place here, as far as I know, because he's always here. So I think he did buy a place here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Florida. You're always on vacation, pretty much.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what was it that you told the writers for season 6? What was I know you
Oh,
mentioned it on
I said, I think it would be cool if, if if Terry Silver comes to prison, and then he's like, is like training us, karate, so we can kick the guards' asses and help him escape or something, so. But obviously that didn't stick, because I didn't come back for another season.
Yeah.
It would have been really funny if they had done maybe a flashback moment where maybe you got into a fight with Johnny at Applebee's, and that's why you were in. And then when he
Or you
comes
blew up
in-
his car.
Yeah.
Either one of those.
Because when the breakdown came out for the character, the description, they said he's a lifer in there. So I mean, I'm assuming
Yeah.
he's doing life in prison. So
Mhm.
helping Kreese get out of prison, I mean, it's really nothing, because I'm already in there for life, and Lord
Yeah.
knows what I did. I would like to think murder.
Right, for sure.
Well, maybe if they do a prequel or like a spin-off or something, maybe they can feature an episode where, Gabriel, see what happened with Gabriel. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe some aftermath of what happened after you assisted him. to get
Oh,
out.
yeah.
So- solitary
really
for
cool,
sure,
yeah.
but yeah.
I was a lot heavier on that role. I mean, I was 250, and that was like my weight for a long time. And now, I've slimmed down a lot, and I'm probably in the best shape of my life. But
What's your workout routine?
low weight, high rep, so
What do you consider low weight?
yeah, I mean, it just depends. I mean, I used to bench press 400 pounds, and I don't do any maxing out anymore. So I'll do like 4 sets of 20 to 25, about 165 pounds, just to burn it out and get cut. And, I don't do any crunches. I mean, it's part of the flattest my stomach has been since high school. And, just no crunches, just skipped lunches, so. I was
Nice.
intermittent
Okay.
fasting a lot last summer, and you know. And then I really lost weight. I was like, oh gosh. So,
Okay.
but yeah,
And
low weight,
yeah,
high rep.
yeah,
The do it for me.
that's the way to go usually, especially nowadays. So, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely slim down and just, be cut because I've noticed too that's more of where everyone's going with even like a lot of the bodybuilders aren't as big as they used to be. They're
Yeah.
more,
No, no, you know, it takes a toll on your body carrying all
yeah.
that around. And
Mhm.
I'm lucky I don't live in a 2-story house anymore because that was a lot on my knees.
That's what we just did. We moved from a 2-story to a single story because I'm like, oh my God, like I can't keep doing this. It's
Yeah,
like 6 trips a day at least.
sure.
Like I don't want to. I'm not getting younger. I don't want to keep doing
Yeah,
this.
sure.
Yeah, I've you know, but now I've got to bulk up again for my next role. So I've got
Oh,
less than 2 months to put on about 20 pounds.
Oh boy.
So
So
um,
what do you do to increase that?
I drink a lot of protein. I'll eat about 4 dinners, 4 portions. So, you know, obviously I eat a light breakfast, but add grapefruit to it. And then lunch, I don't go too heavy, but I have a giant protein shake for lunch. I mean, it's over 100 grams of protein in
Oh
that
wow.
shake. Yeah, for sure. I didn't calculate it all up, but I know both scoops are 60, and then you add all that peanut butter and strawberries, bananas, and I mean, it's gigantic cup that I'll drink.
Wow.
So I'm
yeah,
back on that routine, just to
nice,
bulk this next roll, which I'm really excited about.
awesome.
Can't say exactly what it is because it's, you know, I gotta wait till it comes out on deadline or whenever they
For
release
sure.
it. So I mean, I
Okay,
just booked it, but I'll be working with some of the people from my favorite show on television. So
nice,
Very
uh,
cool.
nice,
Awesome.
very cool.
What kind of movies do you like? Like when you're on your downtime, what do you like to watch?
um I mean, I love comedies and I love horror films. I've always loved horror, you know, because I had an older brother growing up and got exposed to that at like 2 years old, watching Friday the 13th and Freddy and all that stuff. And I remember seeing The Exorcist at about 3 or 4 years old,
Mhm.
you know, and just traumatized. So, you know, we broke that seal early on. So, like, I watch something now and I'm just not too disturbed by it
Yeah,
because
Right.
that seal's broken.
for sure. What movie would you say, like if someone was like, you've never seen that, what would be that movie? Do you think?
Hmm.
Like I've met people that have never seen Star
No,
Wars or
I've
Godfather,
never
stuff like that, but
seen I've seen Godfather. I've never seen Avatar.
okay.
Just not a, you know, that just doesn't look like something I've haven't watched all the Lord of the Rings. Every time I try to watch the first one, I fell asleep in both of them. I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons type guy.
Neither is
You
she,
know,
obviously.
I went to go
Nope.
see Willow for my birthday back in the day, and I really wanted to go see Beetlejuice for the second time.
Mhm.
Nice. Okay,
So I
fair
just,
enough.
you know, never into Dungeons and Dragons. It was always just boring to me for some reason. But however, I do love, you know, Star Wars. I don't like Star Trek, but I love Star Wars, you know.
Same
I mean,
here. Yeah.
Darth Vader was my favorite character. You know, like I said, always rooted for the bad guy 90% of the time. You know, when I'm watching Jason Voorhees chase down these kids. Get him, Jason! Get him!
Yeah. Yeah. Did you
You
ever
know,
watch How I Met Your Mother?
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of episodes of that, you know, because I'll have that on in the hotel or something. It's just like background noise.
There
Same thing
were
with Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, there were a few episodes where Barney Stinson always talked about how he rooted for what everybody else thought was the bad guy, like Johnny Lawrence. He said Johnny Lawrence was the
Oh
Karate
wow,
Kid.
And then he said
yeah.
Hans Gruber was Die
Die
Hard
Hard.
because he died hard. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because Gary Oldman is my favorite actor of all time,
he's
and
great.
Mm,
growing up and watching him work, and you know, when I watched him on True Romance, you know, I was a kid, I was like, I thought he was really black or mixed, you know,
yeah.
because he had dreads and yeah, and everything,
And then he
and
plays James Gordon. And it's like,
yeah,
wow, like
yeah,
the
because
range the guy Dracula, I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
he was
No one,
amazing.
maybe him and Christian Bale can do like the most range of stuff where it's like, wow. Like, but Gary Oldman is one of those, like sometimes you don't even know it's him.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
some stuff.
Especially in Hannibal when his face is all torn off and he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, because we watched the ending credits, it was like, oh my God, that was Gary Oldman. Holy shit, you know. So it was, yeah, he always surprises me, you know.
Mm.
He's great. I would love to work with him, obviously. You know,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
that's
Is
one of
there
my main goals.
Yeah. Is there anything that you auditioned for that you didn't get that you were like super pumped that you really, really wanted that role?
Oh yeah, yeah. Last year, so I met with the team of Stranger Things, and I was in a finalist for a pretty big role on their new show coming out, The Burrows, which will be out probably next year with Gina Davis. And I mean, that interview went so well. I mean, you know, I thought I had it, but when I was reading the script, I was like, I probably should have played it a little bit more sloppier. I should have did my hair different and carried my leading center different because the character was, you know, sloppy.
Okay.
You know, for some reason I did up my hair and, you know, just played the a-hole as normal. And I should have really, I'm a character actor. I can change my look, you know.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, so yeah, that was, you know, that I wouldn't say it's a heartbreaker, but it was like, okay, God, I thought I had it, you know, because
Yeah.
that interview really couldn't have gone any better, you know, and
Yeah.
it just felt like you're a shoe in. And I've had that with other interviews where, you know, the director will say, oh, I can't wait to work with you. We're going to have so much fun. Or I've been booked on something and then they rescinded their offer and, you know, because there was something I was up for and I booked and they decided to go with somebody who was actually heavy set. Like, oh, you know, we couldn't put a pregnancy suit on you. The producers nixed the idea, or, you know, just like, God, first I'm too big, or I'm not fat enough, or I'm not fit enough. It's always something, you know.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's why I got such a late start in acting, because I wasn't like the, you know, dreamy heartthrob growing up as a teen or in my early 20s. I mean, I got better looking with age, that's for sure. I look better now than I did at the 28, I would say, or 25. But, you know, those kind of roles just weren't out there. And I remember my acting teacher said, you know, you're going to work when you're older, you know, you're a character actor. And I was like, yeah, you know, okay, that's fine. She was like, when you start to get a little bit more lines on your face and, you know, you start to age, that's when you're really going to work. And I was like, okay. Yeah. And yeah, as I got older, I worked more. So
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the three we really remember you from, Gotham, Vice Principals, and Cobra Kai, like you were completely different in each role. Which, you know,
Mhm.
like Gotham, you were just like, you know, hunting Bruce Wayne and the knife and all that stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then Vice Principals, you were kind of a comedy guy, but not trying to be comedy. Like I love straight comedy. Like that's
Yeah.
that's right. Like Dumb and Dumber is probably my favorite comedy of all time because they play
Yeah.
it straight, but it's just so over the top funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, yeah. And then with Cobra Kai, you were just a total, you know, I'm in prison for life, badass, and I'm not taking any shit from anybody. And it's just like, and just the range there too is just incredible. And, you know, we just
No,
want to compliment you on that. You know, that's
yeah, I
just,
appreciate it.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, comedy's like always been my thing, but you know, when you look the way you do, they kind of just pigeonhole you. But at the same time, it's kind of a blessing to get typecast because it means you know, you're going to get work. I mean, granted, the last few years have been slower than they normally have because, you know, we had the strike and all that, and strike was over. Then we had an election year. So, you know, the auditions just weren't coming in as much as they were in 22 and 21. And prior to that, we had COVID. I mean, we had, you know,
And then the
every time,
fires.
every time I was gaining momentum, a roadblock came in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just like, when is this going to stop?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
me and my acting friends will talk like, you know, if we were in the 80s, I mean, we would be stars. It's like you make it sound so easy. I don't think it's that easy, man. Because back then they were, you know, faxing the scripts over and you know, mailing their VHS tapes in when they had to tape at home or wherever they were taping at. You know, I wouldn't. God, and no phones. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot more competition today for sure. It's a lot harder now, as competition goes. But as far as the technology, you know, I don't know. Maybe it would have been easier if we were pretty tech savvy and grew up in the 80s and were actors back then. But you know, who knows?
Well, there was a lot more like action stuff back then too than there is now, I think.
John Claude.
Schwarzenegger, Stallone, all that stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I get that aspect of it too. But
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays too, there's just so much more out there that,
Mhm.
I mean, I always looked at acting like baseball. Like you might, hit 100 for this month, but then the next month you might hit 325, and
Yeah.
that's when you're getting your roles. You got to just kind of stick with it, and eventually it'll come
Yeah,
to you.
because
And
I mean, it's a lot of the time is it's taking risk
Mhm.
on, your look. Like, when I really started working is when I, grew my hair out and my hair's really curly. And I had that Fu Manchu that I had on Vice Principals and, the mutton chops. And I used that look and I booked 11 roles in 13 months.
Wow.
But then I got tired of looking at that every day in the mirror because it did make me look older because I was only, early 30s at the time. And it made me, but I booked a 50-year-old when I was 35 and I was like, man, it was heavy and, it made me look older. And I was like, okay, well, I need to tune it back. Plus, like I said, I was tired of looking at it every day. Granted, I'd probably work more with it, but it's
Yeah.
not a look that I loved. I took it off of GI Joe. That I like one of the dreadnoughts. That's where I got
Okay.
it from. Torch. Torch
Okay.
was the character's name. He's like one of my favorite dreadnoughts as a kid. I was rooted for Cobra. Surprise!
Surprise.
And the dreadnoughts were my favorite. So if they ever did a GI Joe Origins movie about the dreadnoughts, me playing one of those characters would be a absolute dream come true.
That'd be cool.
That's awesome.
Now, because of your size and your building and everything, have you auditioned for Reacher, or have you considered that?
Yeah, I did. I did read for Reacher. I read for that huge guy.
Mhm.
People were watching. I was like, "Did I just see you on a commercial for Reacher?" I was like, "Bro, I'm not that big." I mean, the biggest I'd been was like 265. But yeah, I read for Reacher. I read for that big guy role.
Okay.
It's out now.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, we
even
just finished it.
yeah, even when I read for it, I was telling my manager, I was like, "Dude, I'm not that big anymore, bro."
The whole time we were watching it, we thought, boy, you'd be perfect in any kind of role on this show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I haven't read much for it, I mean, I've read for Taylor Sheridan a handful of times.
Mhm.
I was recently on hold for Tulsa King last week, and
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
nice.
but that one fell through. They went with
Oh.
somebody else. But that's just the name of the game.
Yeah.
I originally auditioned for one of the series regulars on Yellowstone. Back before we knew what Yellowstone was even going to be. This is season
Mhm.
one. I'm reading for. I'm like, Paramount. What is this?
Yeah.
Right.
I have no idea. And you don't know what you're auditioning for sometimes. And that's probably, it's probably better to walk into it like that so you don't put that pressure on yourself. Like, that's what I did with this booking that I have now. I didn't do my homework or anything on it, and I'm busy. I run a construction company, and I've got a kid, and kind of just went to a very dark place for this character, probably the darkest character I've ever played in my life, and it was a lot of fun doing it.
Mhm.
And I changed my voice completely. Oh, talk like this, I can't do it as loud right now.
Right.
But yeah, and then before I had a meeting with the director, and I'm looking at the people attached to it. I'm like, oh my God, these are the writers and creators of my favorite show. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be working with, it's pretty surreal. When I got that call, that I booked it, that was probably the first time I cried happy tears over a booking since Vice Principals. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was
Okay.
I pulled up to the gym and, getting ready to go in, and then my manager calls me and says, "Hey, you booked it." I was like, kind of just like froze, and I knew I had to bulk up for this role, so I froze and I stood in there. I sat in my car for about an hour, just like processing. But I was like, I've never, had something like this before. Yeah, especially working with these types of people, and so instead of going to the gym, I walked over to Sonny's Pit Barbecue and then ordered a giant plate with extra bread and cornbread, and
Nice.
oh, it was yeah, it's a funny moment, but yeah, no, it's still, hasn't completely hit me yet, but I'm excited. I can't wait to do the
We can't
roles.
wait to. Yeah, we
How-
can't wait to see it.
How
So,
does your
yeah.
family deal when you get booked for things? Do they go with you or do they stay home?
No, they used to, but like before COVID, it was easier to bring somebody with you on set. But ever since COVID, they're they budget everything, and no people, no extra people on set, and everything like that. But yeah, my wife was with me on Vice Principals and got to meet all those guys.
nice.
So she was like talking to, the directors and the producers behind the scenes and watching me do the scenes with Goggins, and she got to see all that live,
The brass
So
knuckles with McBride. Yeah, that's.
we did that part on day one. She wasn't
Oh,
there for
really? Okay.
she didn't get to meet McBride, unfortunately.
Okay.
And sitting there with him, it was just like so surreal, because it was like, Owen, thank you so much for doing this, man. Because
That's really good.
he's like, yeah, because I was on shooting Into the Badlands, and they had to vice principals had to rearrange their whole schedule and push it out just so that I could shoot that character.
Wow.
And and luckily Badlands, let me finish all my scenes early, and then I was able to go do that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we weren't gonna fucking lose you, dude. Fuck AMC. We were toe to toe with those fucking bastards." I was like, "Wow." And of course, I don't tell him that he's my idol or anything like that. You think in the moment, you're gonna see this person again, or you're gonna see him
Yeah.
another day, that. And there's certain things you want to say, and you say, you think you're saving it for another day, but I didn't see him again after that one day. So I'm like, that's why you always gotta, like, take the moments in and just capture them, because there's only so many tomorrows, and you know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know if
Yeah,
you're going to see them again. So whatever you're feeling, say it. Don't be
Yeah.
scared. Just do it.
That's why that's what, like with this, we've had like drummers on that I'm a huge, inspirations to me, and it's like been very hard to like contain it. And like we had Chad Gracie on at the end of when we were off air and stuff. I was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, like, you're a huge inspiration to me. I was trying not to fanboy out on you when you were on, and I didn't want to do that too." He's like, "It's all good, man." He's very so humble about it. But I'm like, dude, you have no idea like what you did when I was a 14-year-old kid. Like,
Oh, wow.
no clue. And it's just like we've had some very surreal moments on this too, and I'm just like, be cool, play it cool, man. Like, but I'm like duck on a pond, like up here, I'm like all good, but underneath, I'm like my legs are going, I'm all excited, like,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, yeah.
That's when I get more starstruck, is when I meet one of my favorite musicians, or one of my favorite athletes, or anything like that. That's when I'm like, because I'm so dialed into to football and NBA, it's not even funny. And my favorite band of all time is Danzig.
Oh,
Got
nice.
very cool.
a huge Danzig skull tattooed on my back.
Nice.
Very
And,
cool.
I'm a huge Marilyn Manson fan. So yeah, my favorite drummer would be, the original drummer of Danzig,
Ginger.
which
Oh,
Chuck
yeah.
Biscuit.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Chuck Biscuit's on yeah. But I mean, but I love Marilyn Manson, and and
Did you know that Glenn Danzig was supposed to be the original Wolverine?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Because he's the right height and
Yeah.
size.
built,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
He actually
beast.
asked me to play a role in his movie back in 2018, but the offer, it was like $120 a day, and he wanted to shave my head. And I've heard he's an a-hole in person. I was like,
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to lose money on this deal. And if I hear, if he's really like that, I don't want that to ruin my childhood. So I passed.
Yeah.
My friends were like, "No, why would you do that? You're the biggest Danzig fan." I was like, I know.
And that's why.
It was always my goal to have him play at my birthday party one day,
Yeah.
Very
because
cool.
he did that for Jesse James many years ago. And I was like, that's what I want. I want Danzig to play at my birthday.
That's awesome.
Are you a big wrestling fan? Because we saw you were wearing a Razor Ramon shirt.
Good
Yeah.
guys or bad guys last forever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I love Razor Ramon. I mean, I was more in the 80s and 90s. Obviously I don't watch it today. You know, if it was on somewhere and the guys had it on, sure I'd watch it. But I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of TV. So I don't watch a whole lot of movies anymore. You know, 'cause I'm a full-time dad, and you
Yeah.
know, usually got to wait till your kid goes to sleep before you can watch something, you know, adult appropriate for yourself. You know, because otherwise, the main thing I'm watching all day is kid shows and kids movies. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't get to see a lot of the movies that I would like to. And it's just making time for it. You know,
Yeah.
because you know people say, oh, watch that on your own time. I was like, well, on my own time, I'm not going to be sitting around watching movies. I'm going to be out and about and having fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to bulk up for my next role.
Yeah, exactly. That's
And
a
then-
lot of work.
And then
Yeah.
we noticed were you wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers ring on one of your
Oh,
one of your
yeah,
interviews?
Yeah, that was a replica. I mean, it was like
You're right.
$35.
So
I
are
remember-
you a Baker fan or a Brady fan?
Or a Gus Swayze fan.
If you know the reference of Gus Swayze.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who Gus Swayze is.
So there's a thing. It was on Amazon Prime. You remember when Eli put the other face on, or you went to try out for another team or whatever? I think it was on college team, and no
Yeah.
one knew who he was. He was a different character
Oh.
and all that. They did that with Baker,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
went in as Gus Swayze, and
Yeah.
yeah.
you know.
I saw. My buddy sent me clips of that. I didn't get to see the full episode.
And
So
his teammates didn't
realized
even know
that's
it was
him.
him.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that's a Florida guy. You know,
Yeah.
that's typically what you would see at a Bucks game. You know, but yeah, I loved having Brady here. I hated him on the Patriots. I loved him when he first came out because I was like, that guy is special. I was like, he's gonna win multiple Super Bowls,
Mhm.
and I was right. You know, then Baker Mayfield came in, and I was like, I was a big Gardner Minshew fan, and I was
Yeah.
like, kind of, they weren't the same because obviously Baker's got a better arm, but Baker was kind of like his career was looking like it was nearly over, and he was a bust. But you had to think about he was playing with an injured shoulder those final couple of years in Cleveland, and then they get rid of him for Deshaun Jackson. It was like, and then he's being bounced around, and for us to get him for $1 million, and then he earns his incentives, and I think he ended up making $4 to $8 million, his first year, and then he earned his contract.
Yeah, and you went playoffs both years, right? So far, yeah.
It's a weak division, but
Yeah, hey.
still won the division. It's going to be a little tougher this year, I think.
I mean, Brady won. What was it? Was 8-8 or 7-9 when he went to the playoffs with the Bucks his last season too? So
I think it was 8 and 9. Yeah,
was it 8-9? Something. Yeah, it was. So
they still won the division at 8-9. Jeez, this is bad.
Get in any way you can.
But Brady was going through a lot that year. I mean, everybody was getting his center got injured, and that's an important player. That's the first person to touch the ball. So and plus he was going through the divorce.
Yeah,
his wife cheating on him with some jujitsu instructor.
Yeah.
And you see him, he was so emaciated, and and he was skinny, and it's like, I've been through divorce, and it's rough. Even if it was my choice,
Right.
it was still rough on me, and I was emaciated. I was like, because it's stressful. It's very stressful, and I couldn't imagine. Plus he's on the spotlight and everybody's watching, so it's even more pressure.
Yeah, and they were trying to keep it as secret as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I caught wind of it before anybody else did. So yeah, I should have broke the news, because I go on the radio, local radio here, and I wasn't sure it was a fact, but somebody had told me that, and this person was right. He's a close source to the Bucks because he used to coach here. So he told me and my buddy about it, and it's like, yeah, he's getting a divorce. That's why all this is going on right now. That's why he's missing. And I was like, oh, okay. I should have called in the radio and broke the story. I could have been the next Adam Schefter, but at the same time, it's none of my business.
Right.
yeah.
But everybody would have known who Owen Harn is. Everybody.
No, I think somebody
Nobody
else,
roll.
somebody else would
You'd
have
be
taken
turning down rolls right now.
Somebody else would have taken. I would have tipped the radio off, and they would have taken credit for it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you get to go to a lot of Bucks games?
I have the opportunity to, yeah.
Nice.
But it's just being in a loud crowd sometimes, it just depends. 'Cause, I don't drink anymore, so it was a lot easier to go when you're drinking. But now it's like when you have all that loud noise around you, and I've had so many concussions, and as you get older, the concussions like, tinnitus, and
Yeah.
it's sometimes just being around too big of a crowd is a little bit much for me. So yeah, I mean, and plus it's super hot. It is super hot. I'd rather go to a night game, or when it gets a little colder, because yeah, you get fried out there. I remember sitting out there one time and this ear, ended up getting cooked. It was charred, looked like a piece of bacon and bleeding out off of it, at a 1 o'clock game. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I used to go to Cardinals games at ASU Stadium. It was
Which is
metal
completely
benches
open.
and open, like
Yeah.
there was no roof or anything. It was, middle of August, 120 degrees outside, and you're on a grill essentially.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to bring certain seats to sit down, and yeah, so I get it. Yeah, it's just as hot here too. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a lot to prep for those games,
it
and
is.
tailgate and stuff like that. And it's fun when you get a group of at least 20, 30 people together, and go. I'll do that, but just racing to get there. It's like, yeah, I'll wait till my kid's a little bit older, to where he'll appreciate it. So I didn't
How
go
old's
to
your son?
He's 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I got him in flag football right now. He's little. He doesn't look like daddy yet.
No, he'll get there.
Yeah, eventually. But yeah, he loves Tom Brady, he likes football, He doesn't always watch the games with me, but that's kind of how I grew up too. I mean, I'd seldomly watch games with my dad because we grew up in DC, and he's a huge Redskins fan. So I grew up watching the Redskins, then we moved here, and then I became a Bucks fan.
Nice. And you own a business. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah,
Not the name.
it's after the hurricanes happened here, I opened up a home restoration with some buddies of mine, and that's a whole nother beast. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made, but sometimes the people that you're working around are extremely incompetent, and you can't count on them. And I was a carpenter for 10 plus years, and I retired in 2015 when my acting career took off. And I always said I would never swing a hammer again. That's what Harrison Ford said too. And then hurricanes happened, and acting was slow. I was like, yeah, let me roll the dice and give it a go. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of money to be made, but my patience, with people that don't show up and excuses, I don't sit for that. So
And what's the name of it?
it's called Viking Restoration Solutions.
Okay,
Very
cool.
cool.
Nice.
So when you have any downtime, what do you like to do? What hobbies do you have?
I mean, I like going to the beach and stuff like that, or I mean, I miss playing basketball. I wish I still had time to do that. It's mainly my hobbies are now whatever my kids are, because
For sure.
if I get me time, it's like daddy needs to recharge his battery, because daddy's always go, go, go everywhere. I'm always multitasking, doing 3 different jobs. Sometimes I take on too much at once because, I feel that I can, but at the same time, it's like, your body needs a rest,
Yeah.
and you can't do everything I want. It's like I'm not Superman, even though I think I am sometimes. So recharging my battery, that would be that'd be one of my hobbies, because there's
Sleep.
nothing more. No, just kind of just sitting in quiet. I think that's what I love most about booking acting jobs now, because I get to go away for a little bit. I'm not in charge of anyone else's happiness but my own, and I get to sit in a hotel room and just silence. And if I have the day off, sometimes I'll sleep 13 hours.
That's
And
nice.
it's nice feeling. You just get up and go wherever you want, eat whatever you want, and it's a great feeling. But after about 28 days, then I miss home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't sit in silence. I can. I enjoy it. Justin can't.
Yeah.
He absolutely can't.
I mean, I don't like to sleep in silence. I like to have at least the noise of a fan or AC or something going, or white noise while I'm
Mhm.
sleeping. I can't sleep in silence.
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like the white noise, but like sometimes on my drive home from work, I'll just drive, no radio, no podcasts, no music, just
I've
enjoy
done
my
that.
quiet drive.
Yeah, I've done that depending on the mood I'm in, but then there's moments where I just want to just blast the radio, and it's like I'll play anything from, 80s music to like freestyle 80s music, skating rink music that usually gets me going in the morning because it's nice, happy, positive music. And I'll listen to some, reggae or because it like makes me feel like I'm at the beach.
Yeah.
But it all depends on the mood I'm in. And, I listen to a lot of rap too. So, I'm a
What do
big
you like to
school.
listen to when you work out?
I don't listen to anything when I work out,
Oh,
honestly.
okay.
I can't work out with headphones in.
Okay.
For some reason because I've had so many head injuries and I had ear issues when I was born, and just having those in there, it makes me more out of breath, and it kind of makes my tinnitus like really kick in. So I hate headphones.
Gotcha.
I can't use earbuds or anything like that. They don't do it for me. I mean, I'll do it on a plane,
Hmm.
not when I'm like working out. Whatever they have playing on in the gym is what I'll listen to.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it with that. But yeah, no, any other questions, let me know. I ask away.
And who are your favorite drummers?
I mean, yeah, I'd say yeah, Gingerfish and Chuck Biscuits from Danzig. I mean, I always admired the guy from Def Leppard with the one arm. I can't think of the name right
We've
now.
gotten him the most, probably Rick Allen. Yeah, we've gotten him probably the
Yeah,
most.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's incredible what he's been
Yeah.
able to do. It's like, and
Yeah, especially since the
love
band,
Def Leppard.
yeah, the band was like, we're not going to go on without you. And the record label said, we'll make it work. We'll make a custom drum set for you,
Yeah.
which was really cool that he had that support.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's that out of Pantera shirt. Yeah,
Yep, love Pantera.
I've been to a concert. I went to one of their concerts about 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't
got the CFH tattoo. It's kind of hard to see it, but
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Vinnie Paul was
And then of
just
course
the
the Cobra
nicest
Kai.
guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did family Cobra Kai tattoos.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
But yeah, Vinnie Paul was,
he was the nicest
oh, he was
guy.
super nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
What
yeah. I mean, like I said, when I meet musicians, it's like, so surreal. I remember seeing Danzig for the first time, and I was just like, and seeing Manson for the first time in the pouring rain. And it was like, oh, this is great. This is great, But yeah, I haven't been to too many concerts since COVID, just because, like I said, when I got COVID and the vaccine, I mean, it made my tinnitus like 10 times worse with
Wow.
the vertigo. I started getting vertigo,
Oh
and
boy.
awful, because I went
Yeah.
I went to Jason Momoa's concert. His
Yeah.
uh, Oof Tatata is the name of his group, and
Okay.
we went to go see it. And let's get closer, let's get closer. And then this, my ears are very sensitive, and then it's like my head was ringing for about 24 hours. Because like I said, it hasn't been the same since COVID, and that's why I haven't been to a Bucks game. Because I think the last time I went was end of the 22 season, and the first
Okay.
time COVID was in 23, and then after I got it, my whole world changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hoping to get back to normal one day.
We're going to see Jackal tomorrow at a really small club here in Flagstaff. We're doing a meet and greet
Oh,
and
nice.
having a shot of whiskey with Jesse James Dupree. So we're really looking forward to that concert.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I'd love to go to another concert. Hopefully all this vertigo and stuff wears off eventually.
I get that too. I had a lot of concussions growing up, played a lot of sports, and then playing drums doesn't help either. And it's so
No.
every once in a while I'm like, I got to do the earplugs or figure something out, or just kind of hang back and be a little bit away from the speakers. So I get that too. It's
Yeah.
a weird feeling when it hits you.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I get like the ringing, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that. And
Yeah.
we're very few and far between for concerts too. So
Yeah, I hate that, and it's,
Yeah.
I miss going to the games and stuff like that, but
mhm.
yeah, it's just, it feels like you get hit in the face by Mike Tyson, like in his prime. That's
Yeah.
something I can explain because it's like, when I first felt vertigo and I fell over because I didn't know what the hell was going on. This lady's a lollipop in my face. Would you like a sucker? I was like, oh, everything was just like slow mo because I didn't understand what it was.
Yeah.
My dad always had vertigo, most of his life. And the odd thing was, like, he died, and then 6 days later, both me and my brother get it.
Oh, wow.
It was like it was passed on to us,
Wow.
And yeah, he died in almost 2 years ago in 2023, and he died from drinking, and that's why I stopped. So I was like, I've got a kid, he got cancer in the liver, and it spread over to the pancreas, and then I was just like, I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
Brother
Yeah.
quit, a while ago. So
Good for you, man.
it's like I'll drink an NA beer, if I have a rough day at work or something, and I'll slam an NA Corona, and I feel great. I'm like, because it's like all psychosomatic.
For
I
sure.
don't really need to be drunk. It's just, just having that beer. Plus, now I need to drink them because of the calories. But granted, a lot of those NAs don't have a lot of calories in them. Those IPA NAs feel like they do, but
Yeah.
they just, so that's why I eat 4 dinners now.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. That's
What's
the way
the
to-
latest you eat?
Oh, I mean, if I'm laying in bed and I feel any kind of hunger, I mean, I'll get up and eat because I know I won't be able to fall asleep. So if it's
Yeah.
midnight or 1 a.m. and I feel like I need to eat something, I'll go eat it. I know to bulk up back in the day is I would always eat cottage cheese before bed because that's what I read about, that it helps you gain weight because I'm naturally always skinny,
Mhm.
So I was skinny all throughout high school, and it took a lot for me to bulk up. So, but it doesn't take a lot to lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you for doing this. We really
Oh, my
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Yeah.
My
And
pleasure.
where can our listeners find you and everything you're getting into?
Yeah, I'm just on Instagram, Owen Harn, real life Florida man, and I'm on Twitter, Owen Harn, and yeah, I can't wait to announce when I'm allowed to the next project that I'll be working on. It's these people have one of the biggest shows in the world, so
Nice.
Very
Okay.
cool.
All right. We'll look out for
Awesome.
it.
We're
so
super excited for you.
yes, has something to do with superheroes.
Oh,
They're
cool.
Very cool.
But yeah, without giving it away,
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we don't want to get you in trouble. We almost got. We had one of our friends, John Rotolo. We had him on. He's going to be in the next Happy Gilmore movie, and he wasn't
nice.
supposed to say anything, and he did. Like, dude, like,
Uh,
don't get in trouble, or you start. They still have time to edit you out. Like, don't.
yeah,
He's like, nah, it's cool. It's all good. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
man. So, like, yeah, don't say too much. We don't want to, like, we don't want that, but we want listeners, but we don't want them that way. So,
Yeah, for
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. But I'm gonna have to. I'm also gonna have to shave my head and shave my
Okay.
beard, which I've never done both at the same time. I haven't shaved my head since I was in my 20s, and I just did it to see the shape of my skull.
that's funny. I did the same thing. I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to know,
Just curious.
just in case. Yeah.
I had facial hair at the time, but doing both at once, I'm like, God. And they're gonna do something with my eyebrows where I guess they're gonna take them away. I'm not gonna have to shave my eyebrows, luckily, but they're gonna do some effects makeup where I'm gonna look pretty pretty raunchy for this one. This, like I said, this is definitely my most disturbing project and most disturbing role I've ever played.
Nice.
Very cool.
Well, we
It'll be a
can't
lot.
wait because
Yeah.
everything we've
Be a lot of fun.
everything we've seen you in, we love. So, like, honestly, like, yeah.
It's gonna be horror. So and I haven't
Cool.
done horror, and I've always wanted to do it. And to be working with these guys, it's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Awesome. So cool.
Well, I think we're on the fringe of getting you in trouble.
Yeah.
So, but thank you again for
Thank
doing
you
this.
so
We really
much.
appreciate it.
We
Owen.
Oh,
appreciate it.
my pleasure. All right, thank you so much.
Of course.
All right, bye.
Wow, that was great
It was so much
conversation.
fun.
Yeah,
What a great guy.
super cool dude.
Yeah.
So, and he might be coming back for one or the 3 episodes he was in when we get to it, because we're still early on in the recaps or whatever you
Recaps,
want to call it,
Deep dive.
deep dive.
Yeah.
So he's got some stuff going on, as you heard. and we're excited to see what he's got going on. He's been in more stuff than that we watched that we didn't realize.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like Gotham.
If anyone has a chance, go back to Vice Principals and watch that. Oh my God, we laughed so much.
Yeah, we
Such a great
we
show.
watched it when it first came out,
Yeah, we did.
and
Yeah.
then unfortunately it went off too soon.
Mhm.
And then yeah, we went back just because we like to just watch things currently, just
Right.
to get, you know, hey, is there anything we just don't remember from when we first watched it? This was 10 years ago. We're like, oh my God, I forgot how funny that is.
Mhm.
So if you get a chance, go back and definitely watch that. It was a lot of fun to see that role, especially finding out later on that he really wanted to do comedy, because he was so straight comedy in that one, especially when he
yeah.
was talking to the wife and the mother-in-law,
Uh-huh.
in the
Doing
grocery
the
store.
voices, yeah.
There's he's like, yeah, there's like three or four different parts of that episode that he does, and they're all just have their own weight and brevity to them,
Mhm.
and it's just hilarious. And I'd love to see him do more of a comedic role. It would be really great to see too. But you know, unfortunately, it's not in our hands or his.
Right.
But hopefully that, you know,
Whatever he has
whatever-
coming up,
yeah.
I hope that just elevates him
Yeah,
as high as he can go.
yeah. I mean,
That would
just
be awesome.
super nice guy,
Yeah.
and just, you know,
Good things happen to good people.
yeah, one of those. It's like there's like, again, we don't reach for the, like, you know, we'll try. We've tried with Ralph and Billy and all them, but it's just like Matt Berlangi. That was just such a fun conversation,
Right.
and Owen was just, you know, great. Just talking to him just now about, like, because there's such pivotal roles, and that it was so well written that all these characters have such pivotal roles in it. But
And meaning, yeah.
yeah, but Matt and Owen had big ones. Matt had it with Johnny Lawrence, with everything he did,
Stop.
and then, you know, Owen helped him, you know, because he was, you know, Kreese was so dejected in that first time we see him in prison.
Right.
He's just like, I don't want to live anymore. You can just tell he's just like, my best friend, the person I never thought would turn on me, turned on me. You know, I saved this guy's life, and this is what he does to me.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you know, he's like, you know what, screw it. And he's as you know, the younger version of Kreese, you know, starts fighting back against Gabriel, and then that gets him back. And then all of a sudden, you know, Gabriel's like, hey, do you need anything? He's, you know, he's like his right-hand man, and, you know, he tells him scram and all that stuff. And,
Right.
but yeah, it's just, you know, one of those, another pivotal character as far, and he helps him escape and all that. And, you know, yeah, just great talking to him,
Yep.
just learning about how big a Bucks fan he is. You know, we're
Yeah.
big Baker fans. We were big Brady fans when he was
Yeah.
there too. Just what he did, and everything he's doing is just awesome. He's just always go, go, go. And, you know, if he's not acting, he's doing his business and everything else. And just great talking to him. You know,
Yeah.
we talked very briefly beforehand, but we talked quite a bit after and everything. And it's just great that what we've been able to do doing this podcast and everything. And yeah, so
Just to meet real genuine people.
yes, yeah. And people that are involved in our favorite show of all time. Like, I mean, we'll just sit down, we'll just like, hey, what episode do you want to watch? Like, we won't even watch, like, oh, let's just start over. We'll be like, you know what, I'm kind of in the mood, like, when it's Christmas time, we'll watch episode 9 and 10 from season 3.
Right.
Like, just because it's Christmassy, and that was so pivotal in Cobra Kai, and we'll get into that more when we do the episodes.
Or
But
how
it's
many
just
times have we just run out things to watch or that we want to watch
until we
start-
find something new, we'll just watch those just to
let's
kind of,
just start it over again, and it's never boring.
and we always see new
And
things
we
in
always
it.
see new things.
Yeah. And I don't want to get too much into it because that's what we're working on right now.
Right.
But yeah, just again, just great talking to these people, and you know, just everyone we've met, and you know, we got, like I said on air with J-Ro, it's like, you know, like, hey man, like, don't get in trouble for, don't get
Don't lose
edited
your
out.
role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't get edited out of it being on here, and you know, stuff like that. So I was like, you know, like, we're getting a little close. I don't want you to divulge too much, and, you know, don't get in trouble. And yeah, so.
And the trailers have come out for Happy Gilmore, or at least a trailer, and we're like, frame by frame, can we see J-Ro? Can we see J-Ro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Girl, come on, baby.
Yeah.
She's getting a little antsy.
Yep. So we're about to conclude this episode. We're
Yep.
going to go to Sedona. We're going to celebrate my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So thank you for listening to the episode. Intro and outro music is provided by Arizona prog metal band Temporal Displacement. Sorry, I got a really bad
There you
itch in
go.
my gut.
So you can, yeah, you can find temporal displacement anywhere you find your music. Again, if you look for it and it's in 2 spots, just realize that it's just going to be a couple days, maybe a week. I'm going to start uploading the music to the new one, which, God, that's going to be fun. That's going to be, I don't know, because I haven't even tried this new
You haven't
program
used
yet.
it yet. Yeah.
Because I just got it like this last Tuesday and we were going on vacation 2 days later and stuff like that.
Right.
So when I get back, but luckily the guitarist uses it, so he's so far away, right?
Right.
You know, he's
yeah,
2
for
minutes away
sure.
from the house. So I can always say, hey man, you able to come over for a few minutes and just help me with this? You know, just get started. But
I'm sorry, Grenache keeps putting a very
just-
slobbery toy on my knee.
she was doing that to me just a second ago. So thanks for taking over.
Yeah.
If you want to email us at drummingupconversation@gmail.com.
Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at
Drumming
Drumming
Up
Up Conversation
Conversation.
and at X, Drum Conversing. Our audio podcast, you can find it anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast.
Watch us on YouTube.
Absolutely. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us, give us a
Real
rating, tell a
quick,
friend.
I forgot to tell everyone too. We are releasing older Zoom videos of when we had the people on that we only released as audio. We're releasing the musicians and drummers
Mhm.
right now. We're kind of doing them. They're going to be all scattered for the episode numbers, but we're going to do that first, and then
The first one's out already.
first one's out. Yeah, with Joey Casada,
Yep.
and we're gonna be doing like wineries next, and just kind of bringing them out like that, small businesses, so forth. And yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot of those, and those will be released every Friday.
Yep.
So the next ones should be Jordan Kanata
Yep.
with the 2 with him
From Slaughter.
from Slaughter. So we have him originally on when we're just talking to him. And
Mhm.
then the next one is the
Or
VIP
follow, yep.
recap. And
Yep.
we can talk about what it is because they're out on audio anyway. They've been out for years.
Mhm.
But now that I've gotten better at video editing, I was like, let's start releasing these. But we wanted to reach out to everyone first too. So we got okays from everybody before we started releasing
Yeah.
them. Because I just, some people will dress in stuff being like, oh, it's just audio, so I'm just going to dress this, and being rock stars, you still want to look a certain way. I get
Right.
it. So I was like, hey, just want to make sure you're cool with it before we do it, and everyone said yes. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
thank you for listening.
Yep.
We appreciate it. And again, find us, follow us, rate everything, watch us on YouTube.
Yep.
And for Drumming Up Conversation, I'm Justin Wood.
I'm Andrea Wood. No,
No
mercy.
mercy. Sayonara, sensei.
Drumming up conversation.